tape 47 is already on your cart, do not put it in Deck B. Deck B has cleaner tracking, and that matters for the part where the camera turns toward the reading room window. You will want the blur. You will want the static. On a clean transfer, you can count the knuckles pressing from the other side of the glass, and there should not be any knuckles there at 10:14 tomorrow morning. If you're reading this, Ruth finally retired, or finally admitted she was not coming back after lunch. Either way, the basement is yours now. Municipal records and local history, lower level of the Bell County Memorial Library, South Annex. The room with the dehumidifier that rattles like loose change, and the 2 JVC decks bolted into a rolling metal cart because the county would not approve a proper transfer station. Your job is simple on paper: intake tapes, log accession numbers. Bake the moldy ones in the food dehydrator Ruth hid in the map cabinet. Clean heads every 6 hours. Capture to the last side drive named Archive 3 because Archive 1 and 2 are full and nobody has budgeted for replacements. Most of what you'll handle is church pageants, school board meetings, weddings from the 90s, and camcorder footage of parades where every child in town is dressed as corn. Label, transfer, check for dropouts, export MP4. Move on. There is one exception. If a tape arrives with no donor form, no case, and a spine label typed on old white Dymo tape, stop and check the accession log before you run it. The typed labels always use tomorrow's date. I know how that sounds. Read the log. The entries are in Ruth's hand for 23 years straight, and then mine. We both wrote the same warning beside everyone: do not watch alone after closing. I broke that rule on my second week. Tape 12 showed the courthouse square in rain that had not started yet. At 4:11 that afternoon, the first drop hit the library skylight. The first thing to understand is that the tapes are not prophecies. They are recordings. Fixed camera, real locations, mostly public places in town. The footage is ordinary until it isn't. Tape 12 was 15 minutes of the courthouse lawn. No people, empty benches. Flag snapping on a dry pole under a gray sky. Time code burned into the lower right corner. 04:11 p.m. The tape ended 3 seconds after rain began. The next day rained at 4:11 exactly. Same angle. Same first dark coin of water on the concrete. I thought Ruth had staged it. Small town initiation. Archivist humor. Then tape 19 came in. Bell County High Gymnasium. Bleachers half folded. Overhead lights off except one bank over the scorer's table. At 7:26 p.m., a basketball rolled into frame by itself and settled against the baseline. The next night, during junior varsity practice, that happened exactly. Coach Danner called me because he knew I had been in the gym the day before asking stupid questions about camera placement. He laughed about it on the phone. Then he asked how I knew his assistant would slip on the ball 2 minutes later and crack a molar. What makes them worse is the framing. Whoever records these knows where to stand. They know what matters tomorrow, not the whole event. just the piece that fits in a rectangle. Ruth's rule was to catalog, duplicate, seal the original in Banker's Box 9, and never call the police unless the tape showed a body before the body was found. She had only done that twice. I made it 3. Follow this exactly. When an unformed tape appears, note the time you found it. I say appears because that is the right verb. They are never checked in. They are simply present. On the returns cart, on Ruth's desk, once in the book drop, dry as paper while everything else inside was wet from a storm. Log the date on the spine. Then compare it to wall calendar date. If it is 1 day ahead, continue. If it matches today, do not play it. Those are duds. Blank for 11 minutes, then the sound of breathing too close to the built-in camcorder mic. We quit testing them. Always use Deca first. Deck B tracks too cleanly and pulls detail from the dark that you do not need. Capture at standard play. Do not sharpen. Do not denoise. Keep the original hiss. Watch with the transcript pedal at your foot and write landmarks. Street sign. Storefront. Clock. Cars. People if known. Most important, windows. Count windows every time if there are more windows in the footage than on the real building. Stop the tape and rewind 10 seconds. If the count stays wrong, seal it back in the sleeve and put it in the freezer in the staff kitchenette beside the fundraiser pies. Ruth swore cold-slowed whatever process was happening. I never argued because the 2 times I ignored her, the tape image changed while I was watching it. Not glitched, changed. Tape 31 originally showed the pharmacy lot empty on second playback. There was a boy on a bicycle reflected in the automatic doors. The next day, Ilimaro was clipped by a Buick in that same lot and lost 3 teeth on the curb. Tape 47 is why I am leaving these notes instead of training you in person. It appeared on a Tuesday in March, already threaded halfway out of a cracked black shell like someone had tried to pull the ribbon free by hand. Dymo label, APRA 14. The date then was APRA 13. No donor form. No fingerprints worth mentioning. Chief Barstow dusted it anyway to humor me. He found mine after I touched it. That was all. The footage opened on our own reading room. South wall. Genealogy tables. The microfilm cabinet. The fake ficus Ruth kept because nothing living stayed healthy in the basement. Camera angle from high near the ceiling. Impossible unless someone had mounted a camcorder above the county plat maps. Time code 10:09 a.m. At first, it was nothing. Morning light through the tall window wells. The volunteer in the blue cardigan shelving obituaries, me entering frame with a banker's box against my hip. I watched myself set it on table 2. Then I looked up. Not at the camera, at the window. In the tape, I stood still for 5 full seconds. The volunteer kept shelving, never turning. Then something pressed into the outside of the reading room glass. Not a face. Too low and too broad. It flattened against the pane the way dough spreads under a hand. 5 pale ridges appeared first. Knuckles. Then more behind them, layered as if several hands were trying to come through at once, with no arms attached to them. At 10:14 on the tape, the glass bowed inward with a sound the deck could not have recorded, but somehow did. I checked the wall clock. It was 3:22 p.m., still the day before. I did what you are already thinking. I tried to stop it. At 8:30 the next morning, I called facilities and lied about a crack in the south reading room window. Marty came down with a caulk gun and his coffee in a Casey's mug. He found nothing wrong with the pane except old sealant. I asked him to sheet plywood over it anyway. He told me to get a director's signature for anything uglier than weather stripping. I took the tape to Chief Barstow. He watched the section twice, jaw working the whole time. He said if this was a prank, it was an expensive one, because nobody in Bell County owned editing equipment that clean in 2004 when the shell was manufactured. Then he posted Deputy Klein in the reading room from 9:45 onward, mostly to settle me down. At 10:09, everything matched. Blue cardigan volunteer, me with the box. Deputy Klein leaning by the local cemetery index, pretending not to babysit me. I set the box on table 2 and looked up because I already knew I would. The volunteer never turned. Nothing was at the glass. I almost laughed. I actually remember the shape my mouth made. Then Klein said, very quietly, "Don't move." There were prints forming on the outside of the window, not appearing all at once, taking shape one joint at a time from pressure under the earth packed against the well. The reading room windows sit below grade, if you have not noticed. Half basement, soil outside, stone retaining lip. At 10:14, the dirt itself pushed inward. The glass bent, and from the packed black soil beyond it, fingertips began to uncurl. Klein got everyone out except me. Not because I froze, because the box I had carried in the tape was still in my hands, and when the window bowed, the box started moving. This matters. Do not store the tomorrow tapes in cardboard. Use plastic, latching lids only. The banker's box thumped once against my ribs, then again harder. Inside, it were 9 originals from box 9 waiting to be reshelved. Tape 12, tape 19, tape 31, older ones with dates. I never saw because Ruth had taped the lids over in brown packing tape and written "Do not reopen." They were not still anymore. You know the sound a cassette makes when the reels spin too fast after the take-up gear slips. That dry, frantic whir. The whole box made that sound at once. Klein grabbed my arm, and the window gave with a crack across the center, not shattering, just opening enough for wet soil to finger through. Something pale worked in that gap, not fingers. I need to be exact. Tape ribbon. A thick bundled twist of black magnetic tape pushing out of the dirt with white, jointed pressure marks under it, as if hands were wrapped inside and using it like skin. It touched the volunteer's abandoned cart first. The ribbon tightened. Every VHS in the box split its casing with little popping sounds. Brown tape spilled out and began pulling toward the window in ropes. Klein dragged me into the hall. I looked back once. The fake ficus was gone under a low, nest-like heap of moving videotape. middle of it, a camcorder lens opened and shut like a blinking eye. Afterward, the official version was a burst water main undermined the window well. Structural pressure, falling shelves, minor injuries. Facilities hauled out 30 gallons of mud and ruined paper finding aids. The director told me not to discuss my theories with patrons. Chief Barstow stopped joking after we checked the security footage. There are no cameras inside the reading room. We have one fisheye over the basement hall. At 10:16, Klein comes out backward, hauling me by the coat sleeve. Mud follows across the tile. Behind us, for 4 frames only, something leans through the reading room doorway. It is made of hanging strips. Thin, glossy, black-brown. Some snag on the metal door plate and pull taut like tendons. In the center where a head should be, there is the silver ring of a camcorder lens. Around it, spooled tape turns slowly as if breathing. Barstow asked me the question I had been avoiding. If the tapes record tomorrow, what is recording them? I did not have an answer then. I have one now, and I wish I didn't. 3 nights after the window incident, I stayed late to finish metadata on Box 9. The basement was quiet, except for the dehumidifier. I found one tape on Ruth's desk. No shell. Just 2 naked reels bridged by ribbon, still turning. Not playing, turning by themselves. The ribbon fed off the desk edge, down to the floor and under the locked door of the cold vault where we keep oral histories. From inside the vault, I heard my own voice speaking tomorrow's date. I opened the vault because of course I did. If you last more than a month here, you'll understand that curiosity and self-preservation are not opposites in archive work. They are the same bad habit with different shoes. The cold vault is smaller than patrons imagine. Metal shelving, acid-free boxes, oral histories on mini DV, high 8, cassette, and CDR. 48 degrees, dry enough to sting your nose. The tape ribbon had laced itself through the shelves, around box handles, through spindle holes, across labels. Every format in the room was connected by that same black strip, webbed together so tight the shelves sang under the tension. In the center was Ruth's old Panasonic camcorder on its tripod, the one retired 10 years ago because the battery compartment corroded shut. It was running. Its flip-out screen showed the reading room tomorrow at 10:14. Empty tables. Broken south window, boarded from the inside, pale daylight through gaps in the plywood. Nothing moving. Then the camera panned. Not by a person. Smooth, deliberate searching. It turned away from the window and found the reflection in the microfilm cabinet glass. The thing holding the camera did not appear directly, only in reflection. A body braided from magnetic tape, looped and knotted around shapes that looked almost like wrists and knees. And where the face should have been, it had mine. Not skin. My face on paused video, flat and gray. Eyes full of static, mouth opening and closing one frame at a time. If you are here tomorrow morning, do not stand near reflective metal. Do not bring any recorded media into the reading room. And if tape 48 has already arrived, leave it unopened. It's labeled with your date. Subscribe if you want the rest of what I find in the vault.